What's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Quality Violent Cinema. I'm your host, Ian, with your other host,
Christian.
And we're coming at you with another episode. This one is about disturbing and extreme documentaries. Christian, you want to start us off?
Yeah, so I wanted to start with one that we've already kind of gone over a bit. We did a screening of it. We've talked with Marcus Cook a few times, but it's Beyond Horror, basically done by him and his wife, Jesse Scheitz. It's really cool. It's got quite a bit of people: Fred Vogel, Marion Dora, Lucifer Valentine, Stephen Biro, quite a bit of different names. It's pretty cool to see. A lot of them, which is like surprising me, like Lucifer Valentine, mostly because that came out probably prior allegations, or at least prior to the public allegations of where he basically they're trying to cancel him. But the Mario and Dora too is like surprising that they actually get interviews with these people.
Yeah, it was great, and we screened that one on one of our Discord screenings with Marcus and Jesse, which was great, and they gave us a lot of insight and stuff, especially about how they're talking about maybe doing a little bit of a censored cut so they can get it onto streaming platforms. I think that's a really good idea because I think it would do really well on streaming platforms. It's really entertaining. It's just if you can get past some of the extreme shit that they show, it might be worth censoring it so you can show it to a wider audience.
Yeah, I mean, even if they turn it into almost like a podcast thing where it was like an audio version of it, I think it would be that way you don't have to worry about any of the thing. I guess there is parts that's all translated because of Morandora. That's the only problem, but
yeah, well, might be things you might need to finesse a little bit, but
so you translate it.
So my next one is actually a Netflix one, Christian, an extreme Netflix movie. And this one actually goes there, and that's Don't Fuck with Cats from 2019. Did you see
this one surprised me. Oh, yeah, this one surprised me for sure.
Yeah.
At least for Netflix. I was like, what the fuck, Netflix?
Yeah, it goes into Luca Magnotta, who's a killer who started off with animals, which he filmed and put it on the internet, mostly cats, and he tortured cats, killed cats. That's why it's called Don't Fuck with Cats, because these internet sleuths were trying to catch the guy before he even murdered anyone. And then they kind of connected it to this murder, and they went down a lot of weird rabbit holes and stuff. It's a really interesting story. It goes into...
Well, even before, the fact that he was so famous was just crazy. Like a model, was a porn star, not a porn star, but it's in porn,
Yeah.
It's kind of weird.
And then a lot of the fame was also fake fame that he made up because he had so many like alter egos all over the internet who were like his fans. So it was crazy. Like going into the psychology of Luca Magnotta was almost as interesting as any other part of the movie. So
yeah,
it's a good one.
No, that was a good one. So one that I really dug was Pornography. It's kind of similar to Beyond Horror. Came out before it. Only hits on it hits on like people like Patrick Ponte, Jonathan Doe, kind of the people that are a little bit more on the indie extreme horror, but still pretty gory and get into it. It's definitely a mixed batch of different things. It's mostly like they kind of send in interviews to people to record themselves, and then they clip them together.
I thought of it more of a kind of a extreme horror zine, video zine, because it was like you said, it was very stitched together. I don't think it was trying too hard to be something as official as Beyond Horror, because as you'll notice, a lot of the audio is kind of choppy, and I think it's just because he did the best with what he was sent into him, because it just it's a lot of info and it's really long. So it's very much like almost the extreme horror zine for the time. It's kind of a time capsule for that time.
Yeah, and I think it's good if you're trying to get into the more underbelly. It's a good one to start to see like who's in the scene that maybe aren't like the big names for even the underground scene.
And it would be kind of cool if Patrick Fonte and Marcus and Jesse continued to do this every few years, and that way you could kind of document, like I said, a time capsule on how everything's changing. in the
Yeah,
extreme horror
yeah.
genre.
I'm curious on whoever put together the photography if they're gonna plan on doing another one as well. So, cool.
Yeah. My next one is going to be a true crime thing. It's called Capturing the Freedmans from 2003. Now, this movie is extreme more in the way of it doesn't show anything extreme. It's more of what's talked about, insinuated, I guess. But it's about a documentary filmmaker who's doing a documentary on, I think it's like birthday clowns or birthday entertainers or something. But one of his subject mentions that he was sexually assaulted by a teacher and his son during a computer class back in the 80s. And then a bunch of other people came forward, and this documentary kind of stitches all the allegations together with a lot of home movie footage filmed on 8mm and VHS, and that's kind of shown. And it just kind of gives you a look into this family that had a lot of dark secrets. And if you were to believe that these secrets were true, which I think everyone is pretty firm on believing that it did happen, it's kind of nightmarish to see these people living these lives while the shit was happening going on.
Hmm. Yeah, this seems interesting. I need to check that one out.
Yeah, I think you'd like it because it's a gut punch movie. It doesn't show you anything, and that's kind of the thing about an episode like this is like, yeah, we want to like some of the stuff we're going to be getting into later gets pretty graphic, but it's like, is it extreme and dark and disturbing if it doesn't actually show you the because it's a documentary, and
Hmm.
so and there's Mondo and shockumentaries and stuff, so it's like, is it really that extreme if it's not showing anything, or is it? So, really depends on how movies affect you.
Yeah, and technically everything has a narrative, so it's hard to define like what's a documentary.
Yeah, especially with like movies like Roar, where it's an actual movie, but when you get into like, and that's a movie about a family living down in Africa in a lion sanctuary. But when you get down to like what the movie actually was,
This is an actual sanctuary, and this it was an actual thing.
and
Yeah.
there's a really interesting story that's documented through the film, which is like that family getting mauled by lions on
Yeah,
set, and like someone got like really bad facial problems, and you can
it
see
was
all
like the
this stuff
most
happening.
dangerous film ever made because of how much
Yeah,
people got hurt actually making it.
there's like you see scenes where someone's talking to the camera, and then like the next scene they're saying the same line, but they have like a bloody bandage all over their arm just because they got mauled in the middle of their line. It's like, yeah. So I mean, but that movie, like I said, it's not a documentary, but it's documenting a really fucked up film set. So
Yeah.
yeah,
And you're getting into like true crime and stuff, and like true crime is definitely something like there's so many serial killer documentaries that we can get into. Dave Parker Ray is pretty crazy with the sex chamber, or there's tons of ones like Ted Bundy, and any famous one, there's basically always a documentary attached to him.
I've noticed the Ted Bundy ones never really go there. They always cover how handsome and cunning he was. Well, how they think he was handsome and cunning. I don't fucking like. I don't. I don't even understand why people say he's handsome. He looked like a piece of shit. But anyway, they're just like, I just noticed those documentaries. They never cover the fact that he was like a necrophile and a pedophile and like all the crazy crap that was kind of like between the floorboards of the Ted Bundy story.
I think the actually most interesting thing I saw was they were talking about multiple personalities and how they lead into a lot of serial killers, and a lot of the people that have dealt with this is like usually something to deal with like post trauma. And Ted Bundy went that whole route for the longest time of being like, I'm innocent. I never had a fucked up upbringing. My parents were fine and everything fine. And it turns out that was just all just a big lie that he had suppressed, and like just to convince himself that it wasn't.
Yeah, because
And
he
so,
wanted to be a good old boy. He wanted to fit in with society, but um, he was from the get go not meant for society. But Bundy's like a whole other. He's like a local like. I mean, he's local to a lot of people. He's local if you're from Florida. He's local if you're from California, and he's local if you're from Washington. But
yeah, he made run. His
yeah,
first kill was Evergreen, which is right down the road.
yeah,
Awesome.
yeah. Anyway, um, your turn now, right?
Yeah, and then we're gonna get into Sam Howell's definitely gotten pretty. or has been pretty popular. But there's a couple of documentaries that he did. There's the Odd World of Felicia Fisher, which is basically just gets into her puke fetish, and just her life and everything that she's did up until that
which
point.
is called emo. What is it called? Emotophobia or something?
Oh, the whole
Emotophobia. I don't know.
yeah
Our listeners are
the
going to not like us for not knowing that.
Jonathan Doe, if you're listening, I'm sorry.
We talked about it. We talked with this all about. We talked all about this with him, and I forgot what it was called.
Yeah,
Emotophilia, I think.
yeah.
But that just sounds like
Um,
you're like in love with emotes from the internet or something.
really into emo girls. No, and there's also I Cut Your Flesh, which is basically just all blood play and just tolerance and pain, and all types of hooks and needles and things into Miss Socks, who's the main girl in it, or main person. I'm not sure what they go by, um, but that one's really
And
interesting.
Socks is the future star of one of his other movies, right?
Well, Socks has been used a few times, but yeah. But I mean, he's using a lot of the same people and this newer stuff.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, it'd be interesting. I'm interested to see where. I mean, I've said it before. I love Sam Hell as a guy, but his art is just not for me. It's just I don't really like that experiment. I don't like experimental artsy films, and I don't uh like fetish stuff. So it's not really for me. But I am really excited to see what happens with this new studio because I feel like he's kind of like wanting to move on to like something new. Possibly he was kind of
mm,
hinting at during our interview. And my next one is going to be one that we've both seen for our show, but that's Snuff, a documentary about killing on camera from 2008, directed by Paul von Stozel. And this one is a really good look at just like kind of the legend behind Snuff and like
mhm.
how society looks at it and how it can be seen in cinema, how it can be seen through at the time 2008 when it was made, the war had was continuing. So I mean there was a lot of
Yeah,
uh footage,
Afghanistan reference.
Afghanistan footage, terrorist footage, 9/11 footage. I mean it was just a big time for
But there's a lot of good points made throughout that movie too, and it definitely gradually gets into everything, and it touches on all the stuff like mixtapes and gore compilations, and whether that's stuff, and it definitely touches into a lot of things.
and then and it's in chapters. So kind of what I was saying was it goes like into snuff and Hollywood movies like 8mm and stuff. Then it goes more into snuff in what you were talking about, mixtapes. Then it goes more into what I was talking about, the media and how they're covering war footage and terrorists. And then one of the final chapters I thought was the most interesting, and that was a testimony from a guy who worked for an extreme film
Yeah,
distribution
that
company,
was really crazy.
and he
The
was
Filipino person that came in.
yeah he had somebody that was interested in selling something. They said it was something different, something more extreme. So he's invited up to this hotel room, and he sits down and he's with all these Filipino guys. He notices there's like guns and stuff and like guards, and he turns on this thing, and it's basically what happened in like a Serbian film, only it's not like as fucked up, but it's like
Cuts their throat or cuts
yeah,
her throat or whatever, and
yeah,
bag over her
it's
head.
someone getting their throat cut, and he just stands up. Like this is what I'm talking about. Like a Serbian film is like he just stands up. He's like, I am not interested. Get the fuck out of here.
Well, this is like in the '70s, so
Yeah,
yeah. So
yeah. So that part, like the way that they film that guy tell the story, he's a really good storyteller. I forgot what
mhm.
his name is. He was a he did marketing for Texas Chainsaw Massacre, the original.
Mhm.
So he was kind of probably working on the drive-in circuit, I'm guessing, at the time. Who knows? Just more violent stuff, I guess. But it's like, who would have thought, like, I mean, even in the Philippines, would you actually think that they're going to play snuff on, like, drive-in theaters or, like, distribute that? Like, that's crazy. So,
Mhm.
anyway, that's a fascinating one, and it's worth a lot of money now. I think someone in our Discord posted a listing for it, and it was like $150 on DVD or more.
Mhm. Didn't know that. It's an interesting one for sure.
Yeah.
Another one that I'm going to go into is art/crime. It's mostly about inner depravity, and basically the guy Rene Coltia, or however you say his last name. But luckily it never went through, and he served a little bit of time. Or I don't think he, but he definitely had to go through a lot of legal issues. And the website getting taken down because they just thought it was pretty much all real. But then he got charged for indecency or whatever, anyways. And, so even with it, um, not proving that it was all not real, it still got all taken down, and it was a big fight. So it's just a documentary about that, and like what is art and what is crime.
Yeah, well, that's that can go into one of mine actually, and that would be Thought Crimes: The Case of the Cannibal Cop. Have you ever heard of this one?
Mm-hmm. Mm-mm.
So, have you ever even heard of the case?
The Cannibal Cop. Mm-mm.
So there was in New York. There was in 2015. There was this documentary was made. I don't know when this actually happened. I feel like it was a few years before. But this guy was a cop in New York, and he was staying up late at night posting on these forums. I think they were deep web, but they might have been surface web forums. And he had like some alias, I don't know, other people's aliases. It's just one of these really crazy sites where it's like fantasies all about like butchering and eating women. He was conspiring with like two other dudes to butcher and eat his wife, and it was like really sexual, and it was really over the top. A lot of the stuff is stuff that you couldn't even do in real life. It was like kind of vor fetish stuff, which is like if you think of anaconda swallowing something whole, that would be vor compared to
Mm-hmm.
like cannibalism, which would be eating, like taking bites out of somebody. So yeah, it's a really. I wish I could remember some more specifics about like the websites he was on and stuff. But the reason I would say this is extreme is two things. One of them I would watch it for extreme viewers would be to look at some of the websites that he's going on, because these websites are crazy, and some of the stuff that they're talking about is like damn, that's some pretty heavy, like fucked up stuff for this documentary. Um, Even though they blur a lot of it out. But another thing that I think that this documentary is really important is because it covers thought crimes in general. It's called Thought Crimes, it covers thought crimes. And that really does go into fantasies and kind of what we're covering, extreme films and stuff. And it really covers like how far can you go into these fantasies before you become arrested. As soon as you start involving real people and plotting stuff, it gets pretty real. And this guy took it way too far. You find out he was stalking, like a college friend, like as a practice target and shit like that. It was like taking it way too far. I honestly kind of agree with the decision to arrest him and to like keep him on a short leash. But yeah, I don't think he deserved like serious jail time for too long. I definitely does. His wife deserves a restraining order for sure.
Mm-hmm. Crazy. Yeah, one that goes back into kind of the art and crime thing when your art can kind of start causing issues. Kill the artist. It even touches on so the guy that was first one to be arrested for his art, Mike Dana. They cover him a lot. They go into Richard Kern a lot, or Nick Zed. Just to kind of like these extreme artists, and it's really interesting. Like Mike Dana is it's a crazy, definitely a crazy artist.
What
Some of the
was
stuff I could
the
definitely see.
what was the film that he made? The short film.
Well, there's a couple. It's the Baked Baby Jesus and then Blood Brothers. But the Baked Baby Jesus is the one, and then there he has a couple comics like Boiled Angel, and then when you got the Baked Baby Jesus, you got like a comic book that was Juicy Fetus.
Cool. My next one is going to be Heart of Darkness, which is behind the scenes documentary film This one, I will say, isn't very extreme. The only reason it could be extreme is because it has the slaughtering of the cat or of the goat or whatever
Mhm.
from the movie Apocalypse Now. But this is a behind the scenes documentary of the horrible conditions of like a 9-year film shoot of Apocalypse Now, and it's just some fascinating behind the scenes footage. And I think they filmed it in Cambodia, and they were just there so long, and everyone just had so much drive to film this movie at the beginning, and everyone loved it. And then you just see it wearing down on people, and there was there was a lot of issues with the movie, but the movie's
Yeah, I
good.
wonder if like who if you consider the making of as documentary of a lot of things, especially if it's like just a making of, like Guinea Pig did that.
This one wouldn't be an actual making of. This would be a documentary because it's about the troubled film set between between that 9 year or whatever it took to make the
Mhm.
movie. Very similar to did you ever see Full Tilt Boogie, which was the Dusk Till Dawn featurette, but it was like an
Mhm.
actual full length shot on 16 millimeter film, like actual movie that Robert Rodriguez had his crew shoot.
Oh, I remember.
A lot of
I
it had to
think
do with the union and stuff.
yeah, it's
Yeah,
been a while, but yeah, I
yeah.
saw that a long time ago, but I remember what you're talking
It was
about.
kind of like that. It was like a documentary about the actual behind the scenes. So this one's really cool if you like Apocalypse Now, which is a really fucked up movie. So there was a lot of demons on set too.
Hmm. That's cool. Now we got into one called Sick, which is Bob Flanagan. He has cystic fibrosis, and basically is suffering. And he finds a mistress to basically inflict pain on him, either it be through his penis or hanging him or doing different things to basically just constantly inflict pain. Because basically his pain of his normal day to day life was so bad that was became like his only release is just basically inflict more pain on himself. But oh, you're just trying to get clickbait. Look at the cute baby.
An extreme
Watch our video.
disturbing maybe. Ooh.
Hey, he likes it.
Yeah, I started watching Sick. You let me borrow it. It just wasn't hitting it for me, but I understand the importance and how sad it is and stuff like that. It just
Oh
was
yeah, the
was
last bit.
yeah, his humor, his art style, all that stuff, it just wasn't for me. But
Yeah.
but yeah, the documentary seemed really well made, and I just
Oh, the
pushed it.
last part is crazy because they go all the way to his death, to the point where his mistress even cuts him while after he died,
Yeah,
just to inflict one last cut on him, which is
yeah,
crazy.
yeah. It's just one of those things where I'm just like, I don't know if I want to spend an hour and a half with this guy. And also, I think I was watching it for like an episode, and I had to move on to other things. So
Hmm.
I was like, all right, I'm gonna watch something that I'm gonna be a little bit more invested in, which is
Hmm.
gonna go on to our next one, which I did cover in another episode a little bit, and I think we've talked about it here and there. But that's graphic sexual horror from
Hmm.
2009. This is an independent film written and directed by Anna Laurentazone and Barbara Bell. And it's a documentary about the website called Insects. I'm going to put the baby down for this because it's kind of weird to talk with. All right, so yeah, Insects is a bondage website, which takes it a lot further than the kink.com kind of stuff that you see in mainstream porn. It was early 2000s when technology really started letting independent website owners do a lot more with their video streaming. And
Hmm.
just like any other medium, porn always gets the the best quality first. So yeah, there was like this really crazy technology for the time, but it was these web chats where people in the chat room can decide what was happening to the people in the videos, and like the girls, man, they get so messed up in this
Yeah, I
documentary.
do.
And I don't remember
Yeah,
what the name of the owner is, but it's kind of a monster. And like, I honestly, I hated him. I couldn't tell how the documentary wanted you to think of him, or if they wanted to just kind of see him as neutral.
I'd
But
say neutral, but
yeah, I think they were trying to have him as neutral. But they definitely showed a few times when he took things way too far. And the only reason that he didn't back down was to save his own character. Like he didn't want to be someone that like that backed down from the dominant position. And I think that's some weak ass shit. Like if you're gonna make your professional look more important than people's safety, then like fuck you. That's bullshit. So
mhm.
anyway, that documentary made me really mad. I think it was really well made, and they got some really really good interviews, but it pissed me off by the time it was over.
Yeah, just maybe that was what they're going for.
Yeah, probably for squares like me.
I'm not gonna go too much into this next one, but I feel like it has to be brought up because we've talked about this like a few times. But the whole kettle cadaver, dead hands dig deep, the one
Very
that
good.
got put out by a Australian distribution company. But yeah, no, this one's great. Um, Definitely very glad to own the kettle cadaver DVD too. Finally picked up, but um, it's very cool. Very sad. Like kind of sick and dead hands dig deep both made me cry. And like, there's very few movies that can do that, and those definitely like
Oh,
brought some
documentaries.
emotions.
Documentaries are really good at that, especially when it comes to like I don't know, family and children and stuff like that, like loss. My next one is going to be another one that came out. I can't remember if this was Netflix or Shudder, but it was called Haunters from 2017, which was a documentary about haunted houses in the United States. But after running into Russ and McCamey Manor, the shift kind of went more towards that haunted house, which was, I think a lot of people watching our show know what that is. It's McCamey Manor was a extreme haunted house that costs no money, but once you go in, you're basically in there as long until they think you're about to die from exhaustion or fear. There's no safe word, and they videotape everything, and they put out the
It,
videos online, but they claim a lot of the stuff, the good stuff, gets cut out and sent to their bidders, quote unquote, in Vegas, which I think is kind of like they're trying to add a little bit of a hostile vibe, like the movie Hostel, kind of
mhm.
trying to make the people going through think that they're part of something bigger. But this documentary is really crazy because it goes into some of the haunt actors, and then you kind of notice that the documentary totally gave up on anything other than McCamey Manor because the whole documentary becomes about McCamey Manor. And you see the people working at McCamey Manor are actual sadists. So that's pretty cool. He found the right people for the job, because there's one part I found really interesting when they're interviewing the children of the people of the actors, the haunt actors or the torturers, if you want. They're like,
Mhm.
"Do you know what your daddy does?" And they're like, "Um, something about torture online." It's like, fuck, man, something's going
That's
on.
funny.
Yeah, but yeah, it's the video footage is fucked up, man. Like this, some of the footage that they get in that haunt are people definitely on the edge of their lives, like about to like, in Martyrs when they're like trying to capture the look in someone's eyes right before death.
Hmm.
It was like you see that kind of fear in people's eyes in some of those on Haunters. So it's pretty scary as shit. Like to go through that thing, I think.
Yeah, I kind of wonder if what bum fights would be under when it comes to like if that's any way documentary.
That's like way closer to Mondo, I would say,
Yeah.
because it's like That's not a documentary. It's
Well,
seeing
there's
the
no
world through the lens of
yeah, there's no narrative that goes over it or trying to like explaining something. It's just basic exploitive,
it's very
basic
much
exploitation,
well. If you think about
essentially.
Cannibal Holocaust, how they remember how the filmmakers were fabricating, basically causing things to happen in order to get their shot. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
That's essentially what bum fights is. You know,
Yeah.
paying people money, making yeah. So yeah, my next one is extreme for how exhausting it is, and that's Chris Chan, A Comprehensive History. Have you ever heard of this?
Mm-mm.
All right. Well, I don't even know if it's worth looking into uh, the actual documentary because once you see like a few clips of this thing, you'll know if you're going to be interested in the story or not. But Chris Chan is a, if you want to call him an internet celebrity, but from the early 2000s and 4chan, he was this, I think, autistic furry who was obsessed with Sonic the Hedgehog, and he invented something called Sonic Chew, which was Pikachu and Sonic mixed together. And he was making vlogs about it, and then 4chan got a hold of it, and they started harassing him like crazy. And the harassment and attention molded this guy into all these different formations. He's currently no longer. They currently go by the name Christine. They've transitioned to female, but recently Christina Chan was thrown in prison for the rape of their 79-year-old grandmother, or maybe it was mother. And I think this Chris Chan comprehensive documentary is going to keep continuing because if you look at it, it hasn't stopped. It started at the beginning, and it started at the beginning of his life, and it just is constantly documenting his life. So, yeah, this thing is nuts.
Yeah, sounds crazy.
I mean,
Yeah,
it's
I'm
over
actually
40 hours at this point.
yeah, I was actually there's somebody posted Fergie posted something about that Loretta Jake, who's like apparently was really bad. Isabella. She was basically the one that was blackmailing and basically was the one that convinced Chris's crimes or something like that. So it's fucking crazy.
Yeah, it's nuts. It's crazy stuff, but it's definitely something like you got to watch if you have a lot of time and you're like, I don't know, like have a couple blunts in your brain or something like that
Hmm.
because it's like something you got to get like really focused on. But once you're locked in, man, it's a ride. Like this guy, you feel so bad for him at first because he's like a mentally disabled person who's like really into cartoons and stuff. But then like after he gets all this attention, he like just becomes this monster, and it's like I don't know.
Yeah, it's crazy. So what I'm going to get into is Hated, the Gigi Allen and the Murder Junkies documentary, um, which is such a good one. Like it really is just a good compilation of everything. I mean, I know there's a lot of like other Gigi Allen DVDs that came out, but this one definitely goes there. It's not afraid to show
It's a good
like
name
everything.
for it too because I'm not the only one who watched it and afterwards hated Gigi Allen because like
Yeah.
I liked Gigi Allen before I saw Hated. Like I loved his music. I loved his like fuck you attitude. Even
Hmm.
thought like the shit throwing was funny. But then I just realized like he's like cool music, just like Marilyn Manson. Cool music, total narcissistic douchebag.
Hmm.
You know what I mean?
Well, I feel like yeah, that persona sometimes gets to people, and sometimes they are that persona or they're just faking it the whole time. You know, like I feel Alice Cooper was a good example of someone that could escape that and be that person and not be that person. So one that neither me and Ian have seen, but we definitely have heard a lot about, and I've heard enough about the everything around it, but the Mr. Hands thing with but Zoo.
Speaking of local legends,
Yeah,
that
so
happened
that's kind
like
of.
an hour from us.
Oh, really? I didn't know that.
Yeah, Enum Claw.
Huh. There you go. I didn't
Yeah,
know that. For some reason, I thought
Washington's.
he was. I thought for some reason I thought he was like not even in the U.S.
No, that's why Washington changed its bestiality laws like right
Hmm.
after that happened. Like up until that happened, you were actually legally allowed to have bestiality in the state.
Ew.
And I think the Sasquatch made that law.
God. Well, there too many Sasquatches were being born, so
Yep.
and we all know how the Sasquatch was born from
Yep.
having sex with animals.
All right. Um, yeah, I want to see that one really bad. Another one I want to see that's pretty controversial for the ending would be Grizzly Man. Have you seen that one? Werner
Uh-uh.
Herzog, I think. Um, yeah, the last little bit has like the doc because it's a documentary about a guy living with bears, and he gets like mauled by the bear, and it's recorded. The audio's recorded. It
Mm.
doesn't show it. I don't think a video was even video, but there's audio of his death. I can't remember if I've seen it or not, which is kind of says a lot about my brain if I can't remember hearing a grizzly mauling. But I don't know. To me, like that's one thing though is like audio can be really jarring, like especially 911 calls. Like, have you ever heard the one of the monkey in the car like ripping those women's faces off? And the shit,
Yeah, no, yeah.
it's so gnarly. Or like I don't know, like the old lady like with the guy in her house and stuff. It's just like that shit's crazy. Audio can be really, really fucked up and jarring,
Yeah,
especially in some of these documentaries. So I really want to see Grizzly Man again, or at least
yeah.
I can't remember if I've seen it. So that's why I'm
Yeah,
not going into it too
there's a
far.
lot of good YouTube documentaries too that came out that get pretty fucked up. Like I forget the guy's name, but he's similar to the Luca Minota type thing. But he was killing hamsters, and he basically got famous with his clay animations. But they started getting
Oh
like
yeah,
more and more fucked up, and more killings, and more revealing to his true nature. And then he ended up being in prison, but not for long, not enough to think. But so I don't know if he's out now or was going to not, So basically, he
yeah.
could just be sitting out.
That dude was like, yeah. Speaking of thought crimes, like he had so many red flags against him.
Hmm.
Yeah. Uh, Another one that I thought was pretty disturbing and fucked up just because it hit me really hard was Dear Zachary. Have you ever heard of that one?
Hmm.
All right, maybe cut this out.
Uh,
There's a I gave away the twist.
she's about to. Can she be my co-host, and then you could just kick up? Just kidding.
Do you want to go? Do you want to go into Dear Zachary?
Hi.
Hi,
How's it going?
it's going.
Yeah, so he fucked up. So Dear Zachary is a drama, and it's better if you don't know a whole lot about it. But essentially, it's this guy's childhood best friend making a documentary about him. Because the main dude, the dude who it's kind of about, gets murdered. And then there's a twist where the person that murdered him is pregnant with his baby. So there's just a lot of fuckery, but there's a lot of twists and turns and just sadness, and it's really fucked up and disturbing. Like you could probably get PTSD from watching it a little bit.
Yeah, crazy.
But now you know what happened, so I think you'll be all right.
Yeah, I mean, I think I'll be right no matter what. But yeah.
I mean, well, yeah. Yeah, so that's pretty much it.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, like I said, you don't want to know too much about it.
Yeah, thanks for the special guest appearance.
Oh, fuck yeah. Later.
So is S&M Man a documentary? I never got around to it.
No, S&M Man or Sandman, if you want to call it that, is a. It's one of those mockumentaries, but it's about a guy that's documenting a horror convention and extreme horror filmmakers like Scott Vogel Fred Vogel. Sorry, I always do that.
Scott Vogel.
That's the singer of Terror. Fred Vogel, Bill Zeba, a few other guys that were around at the time, and there's this nerdy kind of weeb walking around trying to sell his DVDs to people, and the documentary filmmaker talks to him. He's like, "Oh, what's up with your movie?" He's like, "Oh, it's called Sandman or S&M Man. You got to check it out. It's about me." He's like, "Really?" He's like, "You're the Sandman?" He's like, "Yeah, it's about me, and I'm like hunting this girl, and there's like 5 parts, and like he's like starts watching them, and it's like, yeah, it's actually real footage, or not real footage, but it's footage of him like stalking a girl and like doing some things." He's like, "Well, she's a really good actor." And he's like, "She's not an actor, man." And he's like, "I got 10 more parts." Like, and it's like, it's crazy. And it's cool because it all takes place like in the hotel, or the first half takes place at the hotel, like at the convention. And you got all these cool filmmakers. It's like kind of lighthearted. And then especially Fred Vogel, I think he has a line, what is his line? A needle full of fecal matter injected into a labia. And it's like all this, like, it's goofy as fuck.
But sounds goofy.
But then it gets like, then it's just kind of the documentary filmmaker versus the guy making the Sandman, because that guy starts stalking him and shit. So it kind of ends up being more like, have you seen the movie Creep?
Yeah.
The Duplass movie?
Yeah, just like 2 of them, right?
Yeah. So imagine S&M Man. No, imagine Creep, but if it took place at a horror convention. Very similar to that.
Interesting. Yeah, I've been meaning to. I was actually going to watch it today. So I got stuck watching Kill the Artist and SNUFF documentary. So
I think you'd love S&M Man, but it's like it's a chill movie for sure. Just chill, have fun movie.
Mm-hmm.
And it was directed by I forgot what the director, J.T. Petty, I think his name was, who went on to do some pretty big things afterwards.
Well, definitely got something that's kind of getting. I mean, it's in between, like, old Mondo and documentaries, but like going into like Shocking Asia, and stuff like Mondo Kane, and I kind of want to lump all those together because I kind of feel like a lot of it's kind of similar. But there's like the Africa, Adia, Mondo Kane 1 and 2, and then Goodbye Untold Tom, stuff like that.
Yeah, and
women of the world. Yeah.
All of it's debated on different levels, how authentic it could be as a documentary or as a Mondo film that was more fabricated for the viewer.
Yeah, well, because there's a pretty much all narrative. I mean, Faces of Death had narrative. Traces kind of did, but it had more of a hosting thing where it just like introduced something and then it just had clips and kind of had talking. But but that one's funnier.
Yeah, I guess it's like. It's not whether it's a documentary or not. It's just like what shade of documentary it is. You know what I mean? There's a lot of different shades of documentaries, whether it's true, fabricated, or a little bit of mix. Like kind of like you look at the news
or documentary dramas, where they're kind of like they're still dramas, but they're kind of forms.
Yeah, you look at like stuff that's like news footage clipped together and stuff, like Faces of Death, or stuff like that. But then at the same time they inject fake shit, like what is his name, Dr. B. Gross talking. So
rubber mallets.
Yeah, you really can't really say it is a document. There's so many gray areas when it comes to this subject.
But I think it's fun. I think cinema is great when it's hard to classify. I think those are some of the best films when they kind of like go between stuff.
Especially, when you watch something and there's like no genre for it, you're like, what the fuck?
Uncategorized,
Hell yeah. Well, do you got anything more?
No, that's basically it. I mean, we could kind of go. There's always stuff to add. There's a lot of documentaries out there, so.
All right. Sounds good. Well, once again, thanks so much for watching, everybody, and we're on all streaming platforms. If you know us, you know where we are. Also, join in on our Discord if you want to see our live events. We have a Patreon, which we haven't been doing too much with yet, but we have the motions and gear for that. So, also, there is some exclusive stuff on there that you can get right now. I don't know if I should say what it is or not, but there's an exclusive screening on there. So,
Oh, nice.
You didn't know that?
No, I haven't looked at the Patreon in a bit and what we've been doing on it, to be honest. That's how much we need to update it. It's like I'm not even like I'm like, what? Oh, cool.
Okay.
How many Patreons? What? We have Patreons?
Well, we only have 2 patrons. We only have 2 patrons, but it's
patrons,
weird because you know what's sus? There's 17 views on that private video on our Patreon, but 2 patrons.
They're just watching it
they
over
must
and
have
over?
watched it a lot. I don't know. But yeah, join our Patreon if you want to see what the hell we're talking about, and we're gonna try to do some more stuff. We have this game show idea. I just have to get the software working, but I have we're actually gonna do it like a TV game show. So I gotta basically have to wait to get paid so I can buy this software because I'm gonna be doing it for my other shows too. So
Nice. Yeah, we have. I have a couple things I'm working on too.
go into those.
I finally kind of figured out my lighting and the way I'm going to be setting it up. But kind of start digging into my collection because I feel like I've just been kind of hoarding and not really showcasing and doing anything on them. So I'm going to be doing it all into sections and just kind of just breaking into them. But I had kind of a cool idea with of showing everything on the DVD. Like I want to show the DVD menu. I want to show like what the bonus features kind of menu page looks like.
That's
like
cool.
kind of let you like actually see what it's like digging into the DVD versus just like this is the cover. Wish you had it. At least like I can kind of show you a little bit.
So you're doing a
experience.
service for the community,
Mm-hmm.
and it's like, so some of the stuff that you own, people will never be able to hold tangibly. So what you're showing them might give them a little bit of a peek on what it's like to.
Yeah, as much as I can, because some of them it's very.
It sucks when you want to know what the August Underground bonus features look, at least what what it looks like. So it'd be cool if you could kind of just go into it. Mm-hmm. Anything else? I think you have some other stuff.
Yeah, no, I have a bunch of stuff. I have my clown mixtape that I'm working on. I have about 6 people that are interested, or basically that are either have already submitted or going to be submitting. So basically, it's kind of like a commission thing.
Are you still taking commissions?
Yeah, 100%. I'll take as many as I willing to throw out. It just will lengthen in, and then I mean it doesn't have to be like I don't want to give anything away, but it doesn't have to be sexually anything. It doesn't have to be blood related. But I'm not really limiting anyone. It could be just off and bizarre and weird and quirky and just. I'm kind of just doing a mix match, but there is definitely going to be some blood and nudity and stuff. So you have to be at least okay with being part of a project that shows that. So
cool. Anything else? I feel like
the
you
show,
have more.
Game show, I have as well. I'm just trying to go through, but I might work with you a little bit and try to do a combined thing, and then we can kind of do like little side shows off of that.
Okay.
Figure it out.
Yeah.
But
there's some cool software. I think.
Horror.
Yeah, there's some cool software, and we can use that for Name the Horror too. This is the software I'm talking about. So
yeah.
So
we'll talk more about that and figure it out. But yeah, for sure, that's definitely an idea. I have some quiet hush hush some things, but I've been working with actually getting my hands in directing and editing, and actually have some projects coming.
You can
very exciting.
Can you say that there? Can you give a hint that there are people that have been on the show before?
Yes.
Okay.
Which I don't want to give too much away because there's so much into the project.
But and you can imagine there's people on the show that have been guests before. He's working with now.
Yeah, and I will be editing some shorts in an anthology that Marcus Cook working on.
That's dope. Yeah. Congrats on getting your feet dirty in the visual side of things. So yeah, and then I'm kind of doing the same stuff, except I just got more of the same but better coming out. Parents Under the Stairs, we're starting to incorporate guests. Our last episode was the Indigenous TV and Film episode, and we had Crazy 8 and Lady 8 on, which was amazing. And they've done music or Crazy 8's done music and logos and stuff for the network before, so I thought he was a good first guest. Then we're having Comatose on next week. Parents Under the Stairs. So that'll be interesting. We want to get a lot of like extreme people, extreme filmmakers. I want to have Christian and his girlfriend on sometime.
Yeah, I'm done.
So yeah, we just want to start having guests. Not every episode, but yeah, the show's really picking up. So thank you everybody that's hitting us up and talking to us about it. It makes us really happy to know that we're providing a show that gives you comfort. So also Horror Corridor, we just hit episode, or I guess but you don't know, you're there in spirit.
Yeah, I'll still edit. I did some editorial stuff for you. So
yeah. You're our on the field journalist. But speaking of which, I might have you come up with me to Seattle to do some music video stuff sometime soon. But,
I'm done.
Just hit episode 20 with Babel the Demon. That episode's doing great, and we're coming back with a Washington artist, Lyrozone, next week, who's a big horror head. I think he'd be cool to have on the main show, Quality Bound Cinema. Because he has his own horror podcast. He's very, very professional.
I think once we start doing the game show, it'd be cool to get maybe we can do the Horror Corridor guests against our patrons.
Yep.
So we can have them battle off. So it'll be like Horror Corridor versus QVC, and awesome. see who can battle it off in the knowledge.
Sweet, man. Well, that's a lot of fun stuff on the horizon, and hopefully a lot of it comes to fruition in the next month or so we can start showing it off. But I'm sure there's even more shit too that we're just not talking about. But
yeah, I'm almost like overloaded in projects. Like that Beavis and Butthead thing is on the delay a little bit. Just because I'm more trying to figure out all the format, and I got sidetracked with editing the Clown Gore mixtape and
it's okay.
Getting
Whatever
the projects.
You make, I'm sure it'll be entertaining.
But we will. Yeah, we'll get it up. But I want to start doing that more often.
Watch
get that kind of. Yeah, I think watch-alongs would be a lot of fun. We just have to figure out the easiest way to do it, where we can do what we want to do easily and not have to throw 3 cameras and all this stuff. So we'll figure it out.
All right. Well, thanks for watching, guys.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.